there friends, today we are going to be talking a little bit about leash walking because this is one of the tougher things to teach a dog. Most dogs, it's the one time that they're getting out of the house for the day and they are attached to you with a 4 or 6 foot leash generally. They have a bunch of energy to expend, they're excited, there are all these distractions and smells and sights and sounds, and it's just a tough job to get a dog to not pull you around, or to zigzag in front of you and trip you, pull your arm out of the socket. It's tough to just teach them to walk right next to you. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, is just a few basic, easy things that you can start practicing indoors now to help your dog outdoors in the near future. So the first thing that we're going to start with is just the general principle of your dog needs to walk next to you. If your dog's not walking next to you, then the walk isn't happening, especially if you have cued your dog to heel. If you didn't say heel or with me, I say with me instead of heel, but if you didn't say that, then I do allow the dog to kind of sniff around and do its thing, as long as it's not pulling actively. But once you say with me, that means, hey, I need you to walk right next to me. And over time, you can get your dog to where it does this more and more and more. At first, you're going to be practicing in super short stints and just practicing inside. Let me grab my treats and grab my dog and put him on leash, and we'll talk about the first technique to get your dog to do a really nice with me or heel. This isn't really a regimented heel, so that's why I don't say heel. It's just with me. It means be somewhere next to me. So like, I'll get my dog. Come on, bud. He's already in his harness. Come on. Good boy. Let me grab his leash. This harness has a front attachment, so a front loop that you can clip that leash to. That is the best for preventing pulling for most dogs. If you attach it at the back of the harness, your dog has so much leverage, it can put all of its power into that pulling. So I always discourage people from using the kind of harness that clips back here between their shoulder blades, and instead want them to find a harness that they can clip at the chest. So this is the Freedom harness. It's a great one. There are a bunch of front clip harnesses out there that can help prevent pulling. So, and the way it does it, I'll just show you real quick here. So if your dog is out in front of you and you pull it, it's pulling, you can see that just the way that the physics work, and he's following my hand because he knows this is treat time. The way that this works is if he pulls out in front of me, he's not going to get that far because that leash just tightens up on his chest and it almost turns him right back to me. So that's why these front clip harnesses are really nice, first and foremost. So if you don't have something like this, or even a head harness, which is a whole different topic, I highly encourage you to get one, or rig up your current harness to where you can use that front clip as, or to where you can clip the leash at the front of the harness instead of the back. Proper walking is pick a side. I pick my right side because I'm right-handed, and that's where I'm delivering the treats from, right? It makes it super easy to deliver a treat. That means the leash is looped over my wrist, and then I'm holding it because you want a secure hold. Some dogs are really strong pullers and you want a really secure grip. You don't want your dog to go to the end of the leash and that leash just slip right out of your hand, right? So if you've got it over your wrist and you're holding onto it, that's ideal. This frees up your right hand to reward, like I was saying. Also, you can use it as a lure, and that's what we're going to be doing with teaching with me. But you can also use that right hand to shorten up the leash if you need to. Say you see cheeseburger wrapper in front of you and your dog is about to eat it. You can shorten up that leash with your free right hand. So that's part of the reason that I always encourage people to hold the leash just like this, across their body with their dog on whatever side they're going to reward on. Important note about that, if you are rewarding with the opposite hand, so if I was always rewarding from my left hand, he's coming across me, right? I'm trying to walk. This is a walking exercise. If he's coming across me for that treat when I'm trying to walk, this is a hazard. This is a tripping hazard. I can't tell you how many of my clients have been tripped by their dog. So what you can do is just start out super basic. You're going to use really treats, but make sure they're stinky. You want them to be high value, especially if you're working outdoors. At first, work it inside. Don't go to that high distraction area yet. Your dog is not going to be ready for it. Start out inside and literally just get your dog used to hearing, Bucky, with me. And you're going to take a micro step and just lure them right next to you. That reward comes right along this line of your body, right? You're not rewarding from up here, you're not rewarding from back here, because you want your dog right here. So that's where the reward needs to come from. Over time, you're going to do that 10 times, where you literally just say, Bucky, with me. Good boy, take a little bit of a step and the reward right next to him. Let's try it over here. Bucky, with me. Good boy, good job. With me. Good boy, good job. So, you're just getting him used to hearing with me, and that means, hey, there's a reward for you right here. Just that's the position you're going to need to be in to get it. You'll notice that if he is facing me like this, I'm not going to reward him that way if I've said with me. It's only, Bucky, with me. And you can kind of lure him back and then around again. Good boy. And he sits because I bring the treat up. Your dog doesn't have to sit, but it is actually a useful thing to have them be able to sit in a heel more or less. So, let's see here. I got distracted by a noise outside, sorry. Over time, as your dog gets really good at that really simple short with me, where they're literally just taking maybe like 1 or 2 steps and then getting a treat from right next to you, you're going to start increasing the number of steps that your dog has to take before it earns that reward. Why do you keep sneezing, goofball? Are you impatient? All right, with me? Good boy, Buck. Good job. So, granted, we're limited on space here, so I can't go far anyway. But that was like 3 steps, right? So slowly increasing the number of steps your dog can take next to you. Good boy. Bucky, with me? Good boy. Good job. My dog tends to kind of lag behind a little bit, and that's okay. Not a huge deal. He knows that in order to get that treat, he needs to be right next to me. But let's see here. So yeah, just building up the number of steps. Do it slowly. Don't let your dog get its nose in your treat bag. Bucky already knows a lot of these things. So people oftentimes run into problems when it comes to this. One of them is, well, my dog gets way out in front of me, and then I have to bring him back, and it's, stop walking. It can be a real pain. And you can practice this exact same scenario inside and get your dog to pull, essentially. So let me demonstrate that real quick for you. So we'll get him next to me again. Good boy. What I'm going to do is I'm going to toss a treat in front of him. I'm going to actually shorten up the leash a little bit so I know that he can't, surge forward and go get this treat that I'm about to toss. So what I'm going to do is toss that treat far enough that he can't get it, and I'm going to give him immediate feedback. That's the most important thing about training, is just the faster you can give feedback when they start to make the wrong decision, the faster they're going to figure out what the wrong decision was, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to toss this treat in front of me. Bucky, with me. Good boy, good job. So I tossed that treat in front of me. When he went for it, the second that he did, I intervened and said, with me, gave him a verbal cue to let him know, nope, that's not the right choice. We're doing something else right now. I also didn't let him go get that treat that I had tossed. I don't want him to learn that when we're doing this, he's foraging on the ground for any random stuff. So let me demonstrate that again. Here. He already knows to leave it. We've done this exercise before. Let's see if he'll do it this way. Good boy. He won't do it. See, and this is the product of training, right? That's very good boy. So if that were a real training situation, like I was hoping he would do the wrong thing so I could demonstrate. But honestly, in that situation, when you toss a treat and your dog doesn't go for it, definitely praise and reward. Bucky, let's go. Leave it. Good boy. Good job. He didn't even really go for it, but you can still notice the good behavior and reward the good behavior. No, there's not a treat over there anymore, goofball. Oops. So I think you get the idea though. You can use a treat tossed in front of you as something to prevent your dog from getting, so this is like controlled distractions, right? You're adding a distraction, but it's not, this crazy high level distraction. You're starting at a small enough level that he is able to succeed, able to leave that item alone and come back next to you and get a reward for walking with you instead. So let's see here. What was the other thing we were going to cover? Oh yeah, if your dog thinks that it should zigzag in front of you, so this is a really common problem, right? So dogs that as you're walking, they decide, I'm just gonna come across here and go sniff something over there. The second that your dog starts to get anywhere near in front of your feet, stop the walk. With me. Good boy. Good job. So let's see if I can do this kind of in real time. He knows he's not supposed to cross in front of me, so he's actually kind of tough to demonstrate with, but that's okay. I hope you'll get the idea still. So what I'll do is I'll say, Bucky, with me. Good boy, good with me. I'll try to with me. Good boy, good job. So I use an as a no reward marker. It just means, hey, you're doing the wrong thing. Honestly, for me, it's partially I'm using it because it gives me time to think about what I need to tell him to do. It's kind of like saying, oh wait, that's the wrong thing. Here, try this instead, right? So when I'm doing the crossing over exercise, and you'll be able to naturally do this with most dogs because most dogs want to cross over. Good boy, with me, good job. So it's just a really easy way to practice getting dogs to figure out that they're not supposed to cross in front of you and that reward is always going to be on the right side. You don't even have to practice this with a leash on at all times. Eventually, you're going to want your dog to, potentially be off leash. Also, you don't want to be relying on that leash to direct your dog. So it's good practice to do this without a leash in your hands at all. And just practice around the house exactly the principles that we've been talking about. Oh, you gotta stop and scratch, okay. So just that. Bucky, with me. Good boy, good job, bud. Good boy, Bucky, with me. Good boy, good job. So just, practicing without the leash on even. Eventually you will get to the point where you can toss a treat out in front and get them to leave it alone. We'll see if he'll do this with me. Good boy, good job. So ready? We're gonna walk. I'm gonna toss that treat. Let's go. Good boy. Leave it. Good boy. He didn't even go for it. If he had, I would have definitely used my no reward marker. And then told him with me. Hopefully I'd be able to get to that treat before he did. This is a tricky one. You want to practice it mostly with the leash on it first. If you have too many failures with the leave it and the things like that, they just learn to be faster than you. So, and dogs are faster than you, trust me. So anyway, those are just a few principles that you can use to train your dog to be really great on leash. I think I already said this at the beginning, but just remembering to practice inside first of all, and then after they're really good at it inside and get all these principles in here, move it to a quiet space outside. Maybe your backyard, maybe your front yard. Go out and practice for 4 minutes and then come back inside and give them a Kong or something like that. It doesn't have to be practiced on walks themselves yet, but you will work up to that and get them to build up to higher and higher level distractions. So there are a lot of great ways to do that. For more, you can visit my website and you'll have more information there, be able to reach out for help or contact me. I'd be happy to help. Happy training!